it's good to be able to do a bunch of different things because you never know when you have to jump in and you can rock with so many different people. Like, okay, maybe I'll just write on this song. Maybe I'll just, play keys on it or, whatever. Sometimes I'll just record people. I'm like, I just engineer it, man. I like doing that too, pressing buttons. So it really don't matter as long as, just good times and good vibes. That's really where I'm at now. Like, I just want to enjoy it. Before, when I first started out, I just wanted to just be working, and I didn't care about enjoying it because I just enjoy working, which is true.
Yeah.
But now I want to have a good time and feel like what we're doing is meaningful and purposeful.
There has got to be more than this.
Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name's Korby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just starting out on your own creative odyssey. The Morse Code Podcast is celebrating its 6th-month anniversary with a live show. It's happening Sunday, April 14th at the 5 Spot here in East Nashville. Many of the guests we've had on the show are performing or screening a film or reading or painting that night. Guests like Boo Ray, Abigail Compst, Travis Nicholson, Plein Air Painters, and tons more. Tickets go on sale March 4th at CorbyLenker.com. I met our next guest at an awards ceremony for a film. This dude was the best dressed person in the room. His name is Lamont Coleman, and I was soon to find out that he's been an in-demand producer for years. He collaborated on the song Sweetest Girl Dollar Bill with Wyclef Jean, Akon, and Lil Wayne. He's also worked with T.I. and Shakira. He received a BMI Pop Music Award in 2009 and is currently producing tracks for Disney. I spent an afternoon in his studio last month working on a new song and can attest to his joyful approach to collaboration and his knack for getting the most out of his artists. To get something out of the Morse Code Podcast, please like and subscribe. And now, here's my conversation with Lamont Coleman. Lamont Coleman.
Yeah,
Dude,
Korby.
Man, thank you so much for coming over and talking to me. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Likewise, bro.
And I thought maybe we could just tee it off by saying how we met, which was I think I received a fashion compliment from you.
Yeah.
That awards thing for the 48-hour film festival.
Yeah.
I was wearing my one good suit. And you were wearing one of your many good
I
outfits.
appreciate that. Yeah, I was like, this dude's stylish and he won Best Actor. I'm saying, what's up?
Yeah, you were just so sweet and friendly, and it was just all in passing. I was like, I like that dude.
Yeah, I was happy to be there. I was like, look at all these new people to meet and these new personalities.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, you're such an open soul and like ready to meet anybody and be a friend to anyone that's wants to be a friend to you. That's my impression of you.
I think that's true.
And it's kind of held up. We've hung out a little bit now. We're in different circumstances, different groups.
Yeah, they don't have to be ready to be a friend of me. I'm still just ready to be a friend of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you'll take the initiative, which is more than a lot of people. But so we got so much to cover here because I know you as a musician, as a songwriter, as a singer, and I want to get into that. But also, we just had a conversation yesterday, and you booked your first acting gig.
Yeah.
And so we can maybe.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man. And I remember when we hung out a couple times ago, you were asking me a question, and I'm like you never even auditioned for something.
No, I was about to go on my first audition, and you said you was like, no, just do it and just whatever, put it out. You was giving me advice to just like just do your best and keep it moving. So I was like, okay, I went into it with that attitude, like I wasn't like gonna do, because if you hadn't said that, I probably would did my audition and then been looking at him like, so I got the part. What's up? give me a nonverbal contract.
You like that one?
Yeah, I got others. So,
well, whatever you did it right.
Well,
you booked it.
Yeah. So what's funny is that I didn't. The part I read, it's based on a true Nashville story about a mother and her baby, 3-month-old, who jumped off the Shelby Street Bridge and lived. So since it's an historical accurate movie, I was never gonna get the part I read for because I was reading for like probably a 40-year-old white man.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that, so I just was like, oh, okay, and I just kind of adapted into whatever, I was kind of seeing like people I grew up with or people I knew like in my hometown.
Yeah.
And the director was the one who auditioning for it, and he liked it and remembered me, even though I didn't fit that. So when the guy from The Walking Dead couldn't make it, then they called me.
Yeah, man. That's
and I was
great.
Just like, oh God.
Classic story too. You don't even know, you're always auditioning for yourself as yourself to a person that may or may not hire you. And the role isn't incidental, but may or may not be the role that you end up getting. I think that's a classic story.
Yeah. And the role that I ended up getting is actually bigger than the one that I read for.
Yeah, that's great.
So
everybody wins.
Yeah, I'm just honored and humbled, and I just want to do a good job.
So your biggest claim to fame is that song that you wrote with Akon and others, "Sweetest Girl Dollar Bill," which is my wife's favorite song of the aughts.
That's humble.
And that's maybe just a good way to get into, like, how did you get involved in music? And then, you know, you spent a bunch of time in New York, and just let's start there.
Okay. Woo. All right. So start at the song or at getting in music?
Yeah, start at the song. Start at the song, and then we can go from there, backwards and forwards.
So at the time, I'm in New York. I just signed to Wyclef Jean and Jerry Wonder refugee camp as a music producer, and just playing him beats for his new album. And this beat comes on that I know I didn't have on my CD. You know, with CDs at the time, 2007. So I skip it because it was 3 years old, and I'm just like, I've evolved so much as a producer, making 5 beats a day for 3 years. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you're not hearing my C game, boom, and I skip it. And it was mainly just the mix, you know, it was just the mix and overall sound that made me skip it. Yeah. And Wyclef was like, "What you doing, young blood?" He's like, "Go back, that's the one." And if you know Wyclef, he's super funny. Like, the dude is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, he could do stand-up comedy, really.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, here he goes, man. There was people in the room. I'm like, he's about to get me, you know. And he said, "Nah, man, that's the one. I'm gonna show you." And the way he said, "I'm gonna show you," I was like, oh, he ain't playing no more. He's serious. And he jumped up and just started doing that song. And then he was like, "What rapper should I get?" And I was like, "Lil Wayne." You know, he was like, boom, do Lil Wayne on it. Then Akon came like maybe a month later, and he was like playing a bunch of beats for Akon, and Akon knew right away. A bunch of songs for Akon, and Akon knew right away. He was like, "Oh, I'm doing that one." And Wyclef had another song in mind. It's like, no, do this one. He was like, "Yeah, go back to the other one," you know, which was cool.
Yeah, man. I have so many questions about that. So one thing is, it seems like this is the widest guy ever asking you some pretty dumb questions, so just bear with me. Like, in the country world and Nashville world, there's like a songwriter, and maybe the songwriter and the producer wrote it together, and maybe the songwriter, the producer, and the artist wrote it together, because everybody wants points. But in like R&B and hip hop, like songwriting and producing, it's all kind of blends together in the studio in the moment. How does that work? Both, you know, from a creative perspective, like, because you said Lil Wayne came in after the fact, but does he have songwriting credit on that?
Yeah, because he wrote his verse.
Yeah,
he wrote his verse, and then the song originally had a different hook, and Akon asked Wyclef, like, can I play with the hook? And he was like, "Go ahead." And a lot of people don't know this, but the first credits Akon ever got was on the Fugees album. So he kind of came. Yeah, so it's like they had like this big brother, you know, kind of just family Jersey kind of respect going on, and Wyclef was like, "Yeah, go ahead, man," and let him just, you know, play with the hook, and end up being the Wu-Tang hook that we have, which is it was way better than the other hook. But to go back to your question, I always thought producer was king until I came to Nashville, and I was like, oh, people think songwriters are king.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
It's just so different.
Yeah, it's different.
Like, there's separate steps almost, like in the country and Americana and whatever.
Yeah, world. It's a whole
it's
nother
like you
world.
do it in another room at a different time, then you bring in a demo. Then
your publisher gives the okay to the producer to you to take it to make it a song, make it a demo. You know,
and once everybody's in the studio, it's like the songwriting's over. You know, nobody's, for the most part.
Yeah, which is like insane to me. I've seen records, and I've personally worked records for months. I've seen records just, you know, you change the line, you're in the car, you like, second verse needs work, or bridge sucks. You know, and it's about the, you know, you want to achieve greatness, so you keep chiseling away, making it better and better over time.
So in the case of that song, you would come up with like beat.
Yeah.
Like on What do you use to make your beats?
Well, at that beat was MPC.
Yeah, an MPC.
I'm an MPC dude originally, and I just had a bunch of external gear and keyboards. And now I'm predominantly Pro Tools.
And it's like an 8-bar loop, or
no, I always format from intro, outro. It was already basically formatted. They just kind of insert in the sections.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. So just to spell it all out, there's an intro beat section that could be the kickoff of the song, might get changed, whatever. And then there's verse section, chorus section, and then you can repeat that as needed or whatever. Maybe there's a breakdown, a bridge.
Might be a pre in between the chorus.
Might be a pre, and then an outro, or that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean typically is intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, second verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Bridge, chorus, outro.
Out, yeah. But like when you're and so you're queuing up a bunch of those, as sort of like your quiver, your arrows in your quiver that you're showing up for your client or your producer, your boss, whatever. And then like that's what's happening that day. You had them all on a CD back in 2007.
Exactly.
And you're just playing the cues. He's listening like, it's all right.
I'm just going through hundreds of beats.
Yeah, and it's like maybe 10 seconds of, he's listening to 10 seconds of it or less.
Or more. Just depends. Because you never know what somebody's listening for. In that case, he already had a pre-existing song. And I didn't find this out till later that he had tried to put that song over like 3 or 4 beats. And it just didn't work. So I just got lucky. It was just a sword in a stone.
Whoa. Moment. Oh, wow. So he already had a song.
Yeah.
He had a song looking for a beat.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. Second question is, like, when you're choosing your tempos, and I know that you can speed up a song and slow it down, but a beat feels so different at, 120 versus 100, or, for instance, or 102 versus 104 is still a different feeling. Yep. So are you, when you're doing that, making a bunch of different beats, are you consciously going like, here's a bunch of 100s, 100 BPM, here's a bunch of...
Nah, I don't get that way about it. It's more like, these are mid-tempo grooves that feel good. These are up-tempos. These are soulful. These are, I'm just kind of categorizing like that. These are hip-hop. These are R&B, hip-hop-ish, or whatever. I'm kind of just making it like that. This is super pop. This is EDM. This is techno,
Okay, so let's go backwards from there. So how did you get into programming beats? And like, you're not from New York. You're from Indiana.
I'm from Indiana. Yeah.
Hip-hop hotbed of Indiana, Annapolis.
One of my friends came over. So I always had like arcade games and pool tables and stuff like that in the basement. That was my mom's way of keeping me in the house. Now looking back, but so one of my friends came over one day, Anthony, and he had a beat machine, a DR5, and he was like, "Yo, I can make beats on this," and I was like, "What?" And then we all just like took turns making beats. And
all the samples are in the box, right? You can't like...
Yeah, well, there's no samples.
Yeah, not samples, but like the drum sounds are all... There's like, it's got 5 kicks or whatever. I think I had a DR5.
Yeah. DR5 was awesome too. I loved it. I probably made 1,000 beats on that thing.
Yeah.
They all started sounding the same. I didn't realize it till later. I still have a tape. I should go back and pull it up.
And I can't remember. It has like the pads, like you can assign the pads.
Yeah, it
like
has
that.
the pads.
Yeah, it's like
I think they're sensitive too.
Yeah,
touch
velocity sensitive.
pads.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I started on the DR5, and I remember Willie Baker. And I was playing beats for this guy Willie Baker, and he was like, "Man, you got good ideas. You got good arrangements. What you making your beats on, though?" I said, "The DR5." He says, "No, you need an MPC 2000. You hear me? Write that down. MPC, what's it called?" I said, "The MPC." He said, "Yeah, go get that, and don't bring me nothing else till you get that. Make beats on that and bring them back to me." And that's exactly what I did. And I started making beats on the MP 2000.
Now, so this is, I have an MP.
Oh, man. That's the Kai.
Yeah.
That's the Pro Pad, though.
Yeah, this is, now visual aid. Okay, that's what but this is like the idea, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this is just, it's a little bit fancier. It's all assignable. There's sweepable knobs. And but the idea was that you have a trigger basically.
Yeah, it was 16 pads.
And then that syncs by MIDI into your DAW, right? Pro Tools. And then you can assign within. So, question: the MPC also has like its own interface, like its own DAW for beat making.
Yeah, it's its own brain.
Yeah,
it's a self-sufficient brain.
So you don't even have to have Pro Tools or Logic or anything.
Nah, you don't have to
make the beats.
Yeah, you can just cook up right in the MP.
And that is that what you did?
Yeah, that's what I pretty much did. And I had like the Roland 2080, and I had like a bunch of like external gear that I had to always hook up. So if I had to go in and make an edit to a beat, I would have to just dial, just take 10, 15 minutes to dial all the settings back originally to what they were. A lot of times in the MP for the track, I would say,
make notes.
Yeah, make notes. And that way it was easier to go back in because we didn't print everything out external. Now everything's split up naturally because I make it in Pro Tools, so it's already naturally close to being stemmed out.
Yeah.
Versus back then, it's like, oh, you want that one? Okay, bring the stems to the session. I'm like, I gotta go in and
recreate the magic. Okay, so you're how old were you then? This is like late teens, early 20s. Okay,
26 when I signed to Wyclef.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you're in Indiana. So how did that happen that you went from where you were born and raised to
I met them on an airplane, and I met his R&B group on an airplane, and I always have like my music with me, beats ready to go. Like right now, I'm ready for a session. It's in my pocket, So they just looked like a group, and it was a connecting flight from Chicago. And, connecting flights from Chicago to Indiana, it's like the smallest plane. It's almost like a personal plane.
Yeah, it's like a 7-minute flight.
Yeah, it's like short. So I was just like, hey, man, what's up with y'all? Y'all look like a group. They was like, yeah, what do y'all do? And I'm a music producer, And he's like, man, let me hear some stuff. I was like, hold on, I got CDs right now. It's like, here, listen to our stuff. So we exchanged CDs right then on the spot.
That was Wyclef.
No, it wasn't Wyclef. Okay. It was his R&B group. Wyclef was performing in Indianapolis at the Arlington High School talent show. And I lived like 2 blocks from Arlington High School at the time, which was crazy. I felt like it was just God. Like in my mind, I was like, I'm supposed to be doing this. I could just feel it. I'm like, this is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So they wanted number 13 off that CD. I specifically remember that. And it wasn't even my song. It was my mentor, Chris Kelly's song. And I loved it so much that I asked him, I was like, man, let me get that on my CD so I can study it. He was like, all right. So the one song that the R&B group wanted wasn't even my song, So I told Chris, and I was like, man, he's like, just give it to him, and I'll just give you like 10% or something. Don't even tell him you didn't work on it. I'll just give you like 10% or something like that just for, doing the deal.
Sure.
And I was just like, yeah, it sounded great. I was green to it, but I just knew he wasn't trying to hold it back. And a lot of people would have. They'd be like, no, have him call me. He wasn't doing none of that. He was like, yo, let's fly out there together. Yeah. I've been blessed to have some really good supportive mentors.
That's great. So the door was like, just kind of kicked open just a little bit.
Yeah,
that was it. So you guys flew there, did the session.
Yep. So we flew there, did the session, cut that song, and they never put that song out or anything like that. But it just built a relationship. And then Wyclef and Jay Wonder saw how I was working and was like, "Oh, we're signing this guy." So they was like, "Hey, we want to pay you this much amount and get you an apartment here and have you working with us here."
Dude, amazing. Dream come true.
I know,
right?
That's like the thing I needed that didn't know I needed.
Yeah. So what was your expectation of what that was going to be like when you moved versus what was it actually like? Were the two things kind of similar?
Oh yeah. I figured I would be in there making beats and writing songs basically every day, not really leaving the studio, and that's all I wanted to do. Like I'm like a nerd in that sense where I don't have to be all out all over the place. I like creating. Like that's my dominant passion. Creating, working with people, telling stories, writing songs. Like I want to do that forever. I'll never get tired of it.
I'm sure you have like a bunch of stories from those times.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't think
those
of one.
wild times, and there's probably a bit of money around, and ladies and partying.
And see, Wyclef had all these cars, man. Like, dude probably had he had F1 McLarens and all kind of cars.
Oh my God.
So we'd be in the studio working,
Rapper
and
cars.
he'd just be like the engineer. So I was in the penthouse studio upstairs. It sounds more elaborate than it was. And then the bigger studios were downstairs. And the engineer would just say, hey, we're going to a show. Be downstairs in 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay. And I get downstairs and it's like you ride in the F1 McLaren to New Jersey to a car show, you know, and then when you're done, you back in the studio making beats again. Or you hopping in a van with like 15 models to go to something. And I mean, used to be extremely shy, so I'd be like sitting around like not saying one word. All these hot chicks, hottest girls you ever seen in your life, you know. So I don't have no stories like that. I didn't indulge in nothing.
Yeah, more than I have. I mean, that's like a lifestyle that I saw on a TV screen, you know, and it's just like, that's what's happening out there. But you were in it, man.
Yeah.
And whatever, at the end of the day, it's probably just everything becomes normal after a while.
Yeah, I got desensitized to it without even being involved, really. Just seeing it, and it's just like... And it's really been a blessing to me because when I moved to LA, it's like, you know, and then moving here, it's just like... you just see, you know, beautiful people all the time and really don't mean nothing to you. Plus, you don't know the character of that person that you think is hot as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as you get a little bit older, too, you get a little more impervious to initial attractions.
Exactly.
when you're
like, oh,
when you're really young, you're like...
psycho, little bit psycho.
So you moved down to Nashville, and I know that we talked about this as to why, but just in a nutshell, what brought you down here?
I initially came down here to work with Bob Doyle and Lana Israel with their music education company, Musology, and basically teaching children music through math through music. And I love it, doing anything educational and inspiring the youth. I think the children are the future, so I came for that. I think I just got a little tired of the shopping songs to artists and, you know, working with rappers. I was gonna say certain groups of people that I don't believe in the message. I don't want to just consolidate that to rappers because it's all genres. Did not have messages that started feeling congruent. But I just I started in gospel, so I always wanted to do something that felt like it was like my gift is being used purposefully in the right way
to uplift people rather than
to just promote destructive culture, you know, or things that could destroy culture. So doing musology felt right. You know, it felt like the right thing to do. And then country music, and Nashville's the country music capital and the Christian music capital of the world. So I'm like, this is where I should go. That felt like the right thing to do.
And was it?
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
2016.
Okay, so I mean that's been a minute.
Yeah.
Long enough to know whether or not it was a good call.
Yeah.
So I also feel like you're an anomaly. A unicorn's too strong of a word, but you have a set of skills that are not common to a lot of people that I know.
Thank you.
You know, and that from what we've talked about in the past, I think that seemed to have served you well here in this town. You got a couple of pretty good gigs.
Yeah. It's good to be able to do a bunch of different things because you never know when you have to jump in and you can rock with so many different people. Like, okay, maybe I'll just write on this song. Maybe I'll just, you know, play keys on it or, you know, whatever. Sometimes I'll just record people. I'm like, I just engineer it, man. You know, I like doing that too, pressing buttons. So it really don't matter as long as, you know, just good times and good vibes. That's really where I'm at now. Like, I just want to enjoy it. Before, when I first started out, I just wanted to just be working, and I didn't care about enjoying it because I just enjoy working, which is true.
Yeah.
But now I want to have a good time and feel like what we're doing is meaningful and purposeful.
Man, that rings so true. I wonder if this was your experience, but when I was younger and so full of ambition and determined to succeed almost at all costs, you know, my definition of success was a lot different than it is now.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came from seeing people that had bigger careers than me not really be terribly fulfilled with that, and realizing that, you know, the lifestyle of touring, because it was always touring with me. I always wanted to just play shows. I see people that were, you know, playing bigger rooms or on tour buses. They were really doing the same lifestyle that I was doing. They were in a different town every night. They were hustling. They were kind of uncomfortable. There's just the rooms were bigger.
Yeah.
And I realized that that's one thing to be, this is just for me, but it was like, it's one thing to be constantly touring in your 20s and 30s, early 30s. But at some point later on in the game, it just starts to become like, you've seen all these rooms, you know, it's kind of hovering around the same thing. And creativity, or the definition of success, kind of changed from, for me, being like, I want to be a rock star on TV and host Saturday Night Live, to I want to have my hours between when I wake up and go to bed be as close to my ideal idea of them as possible, you know? And for me, that's like being creative, you know, just like doing something, making something new every single day in some small way. And if that's happening, it's just like, man, it's kind of awesome. It's like, if that's happening and my wife's happy, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's success. And it's good to be able to redefine success too, because a lot of times we like take an imprint of what success should be, you know? And then, like you said, then you get your own experience and develop, okay, no, success means this to me now. Yeah. Well, we were talking about it last night too, we're going to play this song in a second, but this like idea of this ravenous, endless hole of unfulfillment that you can be constantly trying to not address, but just to fill. And there's no end to it. And that exists on every scale, like from the top to the middle to the lowest. And it's almost a parallel universe. Like there are like really successful people that are like even keeled, satisfied, spiritually evolved beings. But there's a ton of people that are huge superstars that are just like so unhappy and absolutely need all the gratification all the time. I think it's like kind of the plague of human existence that like we're created with this hole that, like, you know, I'm just gonna say it, like only like God can fulfill that hole. So you know, you try to fill it with drugs, you can't fill it with porn, you can't fill it with food, you can't fill it with compliments. It's this insatiable desire in the bottomless pit of abyss. You know, it's only the love of God can fill that. And I think that we all have to have our own journey of discovering that. You know, and hopefully we're not too decrepit and destroyed when we finally realize it. Because I think that's when we're most useful. Is, you know, when it's like bing and the light bulb clicks and then we operate out of that. And pour into the world through that.
Operating out of a God-centered, that's a good word for it, perspective is a really great way to go about it. And it's also kind of scary, especially for somebody whose motivations come from somewhere else. And I know that for myself personally, my desire to... and I haven't been to a ton of therapy, but I do journal constantly and read a lot, and I'm just interested in
that's therapeutic.
In introverted pastimes. But when I was a young man, you know, I was just like, I wanted to be the most successful musician. I wanted to be the best musician, the best singer, the best songwriter. And I also just was like, it was very like girl driven too. You know, I just wanted to, I loved girls and I wanted them to love me back. And I had some early experiences.
Natural and healthy.
As like in third grade, I remember the girl that I had the crush on that wouldn't talk to me. She asked the teacher during the Christmas program if she could stand next to me because she liked the way I sang. And I was just like,
you're like, I'm going to sing every day
like,
forever.
8-year-old Korby knew his mission in life. And so like, but that's led to all kinds of problems especially when I was a younger person, and I was not, it's just like, whatever, don't have to get into the details, but it's just like stereotypical and boring on some level. But it was like, that's where my motivation came from, you know? And it's interesting. Like, I think I'm in a much better place right now. And I've had to notice like, what is motivating my need to make art? Because it is like, why do people make art? What is going on with there? Is it and like for me, a lot of it is like the sheer joy of expression, you know. And I noticed that like I adore talent. I try to nurture my own, and when I see it in other people, I want to nurture theirs. I want to be around their talent. I want to be around your talent, you know. And so there's that motivation. I also like the God thing, we don't ever get into this on the podcast really, but
I can't help it, man.
No, I love that. It's one of the things I love about you. Like I learned some weird random things from you. I'm just like, God, what is he's like some kind of prophet, this Lamont. No. But like when we were talking the other day and I was thinking, we ended up working on this song, this kind of quasi gospel song I wrote.
I love that song.
Jesus turned the water into wine, and I think I texted you like a version of me singing it or something. I was like, hey, maybe we can get together and I don't know, make a track of this. And you're like, that was the first miracle, don't you? And I was just like, no. And I've like gone to church 6 zillion times since I was a little kid.
I think this says a lot about humans. The fact that we don't know if it's the first miracle, but it is.
It's the first recorded miracle.
Now think about that, like on a film level. Like Jesus might have did all kind of stuff, but then he's like, oh, he made more wine. Bring the ink in.
Let's
write it down. He's all right with us. That's just Jesus, God.
That's like showing up at the party with another 12-pack of beer when the party's dry.
Humans,
everyone's like, remember that guy. Yeah. That guy's cool.
From this day forth, it shall be known that Jesus of Nazareth turned water to wine.
I love that, man. And so did you, like this background, since we're talking about it, did you have people in your life that were spiritual, or are you a church-going kid from way back? Or
that's a tough one. Okay, so my father's family, a lot of them are preachers, but I grew up with my mother's side of the family, and they're just spiritual and good people. Mm-hmm. So it's not like throwing Bible verses around, and stuff like that. It's just always an acknowledgement of like, God will work it out, or hey, God did this for us. It was just adornment and just high reverence for who God was. So I would almost say almost new agey. I know that's a bit of a tabooish word, but just like very, very open and not traditional religious aspect of it.
Yeah, you're pretty open and not traditionally religious.
Yeah, I am not the
dogmatic way.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I even interpret so many verses in so many different ways. Like, oh, I think that's metaphysical. I don't know if that actually happened like that historically. Because to me, it's like, it doesn't really matter. One of my mentors said this: it doesn't matter how much scripture you know. It doesn't matter how much information you have if you can't demonstrate a better life. Mm-hmm. And I try to like live by that. Like, okay, I might have an affinity for, memorizing the Bible and things like that. But if I can't practice and live a way that is demonstrating how good God is, and how awesome it is to know these things, then it doesn't freaking matter. Nobody cares.
It's like that Bible verse. If you have everything in the world, but you have not love, you have nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Woo. That's a pretty big one.
Yeah. Love is everything.
Yeah,
that's everything right there, and that goes back to talk about the core motivation for creating.
Yeah, okay.
I think that a lot of that is love. To express our love for beauty, our love for people, our need to want to be loved.
Yeah, I absolutely can relate to that, and I also noticed that the way that I manifest or channel it. That motivation, or where my mind goes or my heart goes in that area, is this just like idea of this great tension in society of people that hate each other, politically or socioeconomically or racially, or in this idea of the other. And I think part of it's like the way that I was brought up. I came from really evangelical home, and I come from a long line of preachers. My grandpa was, my brother is, but in my house growing up, it was kind of like what you're talking about, where my parents were very religious. We went to church all the time, but it wasn't like a hellfire thing. And I never heard my father say an unkind word about anybody.
Wow,
even people that like whose lifestyles he might not approve of or whatever. Yeah. And to this day, he never talks ill of anybody.
What a great example.
And it's actually super intimidating. Like my own wife.
How do I do that?
It's like I can't even come close. I'm such an asshole compared to my dad. I really, really am. But I was shown an example of a lack of judgment and a lack of like a self-humility and an honest desire to serve the Lord as best a person could, you know, and knowing that he always fell short. And it was just like, man, that's a pretty good example.
Yeah, that's a blessing to have.
That's a blessing. And so that's kind of what I've come back to now. And a big part of that for me, in terms of what I was just talking about with like the tension between everybody. I mean, so much of that to me is pride and this idea that like I know the answer, be it right, you know, conservatives or liberals are just like, I know, and I'm like, I don't know.
I think everybody's wrong.
I mean, everybody's kind of right and everybody's kind of wrong. Yeah. And the truth is the conversation between those two things. And I think the biggest part of what's going on in the world right now that's causing so many problems is that people are so prideful they're so sure of themselves. Yeah. And they're fucking wrong.
And it's weird to be so sure. It's like we don't control the weather. We don't control our heartbeat. We can't control traffic. Like, we can't control anything. Yeah. Like, we're on a spinning ball or whatever in space. Like, we don't. What if it dropped? Like,
we can't control our talent. We can't control what we were born with. We can't control our intelligence. We can't control our skin color. We can't. Like, exactly. We can control our behavior.
Exactly. We can make the best
control
of
our
what
choices. You know. And I mean, we're all like, I just love the Bible verse, like all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, because it says kind of almost everything. It's just like, especially it's like a wonderful thing to have an ideal that can't be touched, which is to me like what I think of when I think of like whatever God means. It's just like this ideal that my version of that ideal, and I will always fall short of it. Yeah. But that's what's so great about having an ideal that's like so high that you never can quite reach it. Like a benchmark, a standard by which you can measure yourself and know that there's always room for improvement. And with that comes like a good bit of humility. And with a good bit of humility comes an ability to just like live and let live.
Yes, live and let live. Grace.
Yeah, a little grace. Yeah, a little grace in this world, I think, goes a long way.
Yeah. So. Man, yeah. I mean, I think that I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I feel like with all the tension, everything that's going on, it's the separateness is an illusion. Like, I think if we could see each other or just ourselves as like all of humanity, all of Earth as the human race, like the way aliens would see us, like, okay, those are humans, you know, then I think we can move forward. But we're distracted by so many different little things, you know, like racism, sexism, whatever. And it's like, okay, but what are we really doing? You know, as humans, you know, other than, you know, are we destroying the planet? Are we making it better? Are we making the world a better place for the future? Like, what are we really doing? I just wish we could come together and just get rid of all the hate and division and just like love each other. I'm just hearing myself like, shut up, dude.
No, man, preach it. I get it. I'm with you. Well, and one thing I do notice that is like, if you just meet people at the coffee shop or at Walmart, or you bump into them on the street, they're pretty cool.
People are cool.
They're cool. People are all right. And it's like, you know, when you listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos, I mean, the whole forum of that environment is built for division, because it's like a pundit basically like espousing a point of view, and you're tuning in because you want to hear that like a point of view. And so that tends to just I think exaggerate a tension and a division in the world that isn't actually accurate in terms of day-to-day real life. Yeah. So I try to keep that in mind. And it's like, that's another thing of just like why it's so important to get out of your phone and your headphones and your computer and go out and be in the world. Yeah. Because whenever you are, it has this mitigating, you know, action of just making you remember how much we have in common and notice it firsthand. You don't remember, you're experiencing it. It's like, oh yeah, we behave like I can go to a restaurant and I'll sit there and there's these expectations that are fulfilled. And when I pay for my meal, I get the meal. The cook wants to do a good job. The waiter wants to get paid, whatever. And you just like do it. And it's like, it's fine. Yeah. Everyone, it's okay.
And that's the beauty of like art and TV and film, because like, the stories that they tell in a way it can bring us together regardless of our background or whatever, and to open our eyes to that type of lifestyle. Like, oh, okay, Like, I like that story, or even just like loving the same song as somebody, you know?
Yeah, I think that's consumption of art makes you more of an empathetic person. I mean, I read that once a long time ago, but it also just sort of like rang true with my own perspective. You know, I'm like a big reader. I love fiction. I love literature, and I love stories, and I have since I was a little kid. And I've noticed that one of the great joys of that is that when you're reading a book, you're inside somebody else's head, their own perspective, and you can go on a journey with them, and you can, and it's not like it's different than somebody making an argument about, you know, the rightness of their choice or lifestyle or whatever. It's just like you get to be it and see how it might have been for them, with like from the safety of your own, you know, easy chair or whatever. And you take that with you when you're done reading, you know. And it's like I read so many countless stories of like, you know, different people in different ages, and I take that with me everywhere I go. And when I meet somebody in the world where I'm like, I don't know about that, there's a little part of me that's like, I don't know about that. Yeah. You know, what is that like? What is that person's experience like that I might...
I wish more
just
people
like,
had that.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean...
like, what is that? Let me see what's up with that. Or just, I don't understand, or I don't know. Instead of just being like,
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like
that's
them.
Or that, I don't like them. Or like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, how about just chill out for a second? Like me and my friend Laura Jane Struthers wrote this song that I play every time I play out, basically, called Let's Just Have Supper. And the idea of the song is about people who, you know, who might disagree otherwise in real life, be it politically or otherwise, noticing that we all have to eat. And so this idea of like, maybe we can just have, if we can get through a meal together, then that's a start. And it's a bit like at the heart really of like what drives me creatively, and even in this podcast and in my life, like this show Morse Code,
which is amazing.
Thanks, man.
Dude,
you're
so
nice.
Captivating. I can't wait to see more.
I can't wait to see more too. I can't wait to film more. But the whole, it's like, that's going to be great. Like the show, whatever, we're on a great dream. Randa and I and Travis, who directed it, and we're working hard, and I wish us all the best. But what's the motivation underneath that is like, it would change my life in an amazing way. Of course, it would create other opportunities in my career. That would be wonderful. It would also, you know, lift up the community, which I love. I've lived here 20 years. I love these East Nashville weirdos. They don't quite have the thing that makes them want to drive into the normal channels of like country music and like that upstream. They're just like, I want to write a song from my heart and figure it out.
And that's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And it's like a very difficult way to go. And I know it firsthand, you know, and I am one of these people. And so, and it is on some level very much that story. But there's this other part of the story. I mean, like when Travis and I wrote it, a lot of times a story has a protagonist and an antagonist. You know, that's a classic way to write a story. Protagonist wants something. There's a lot of obstacles, either incarnate or placed before the hero by his antagonist. Yeah. And then at the very end, the hero triumphs over the antagonist and gets what he wants and is changed forever. Yay. But that's not the only way to make a story. Yeah. And in Morse Code, there's not really an antagonist.
It's not really an antagonist. It's kind of like life.
It's kind of like everyone's kind of has their own agenda, but they also like love each other and they see each other, but it's like they still have their own agenda, their own personal desires. They're caught in between, like a love for one another and a love to be kind of true to themselves. And that's to me really as close a reflection of life as it actually is than anything else I can think of. So anyway,
now before you move on from that, that's such a good point, because a lot of times it's the enemy is the inner me. So it's not.
There's a Lamontism right there.
Just warming up. No, but for real, a lot of times it's like we view external obstacles when really they're internal obstacles. So like it's the evolution of self and overcoming our own, you know, trauma or whatever it is, that once we get out of our own way, then it's like, and the path is open. So it kind of seems like, I mean, it didn't totally seem like you were in your way, like your character was in his own way, but it's like, just
kind of, though,
a little bit, yeah.
Well, and also in that character, it really is exploring this idea of, you know, the Simon character is he's got some talent, and he's like, I gotta do this. Like, why am I here if not to do this thing?
Yeah.
And that comes at a great cost to his family and the people that love him and depend on him. And I think that's a lot of people's stories, not even just within the arts. It's sort
just
of like,
period.
just people that are
capitalism.
Capitalism. Yeah. Anybody who's at a job who needs to be successful at their job they're going to their job to do it. And, to the extent that they're doing that, they're not around their kids. And I mean, it's just like a zero-sum game, and you're making compromises both directions.
Yep.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
So
totally.
That's life, man.
Yeah, because like you motivated to get the job and get the money so you can get the girl and the family, but then you want to keep the girl and the family, and like, but so you got to work, but then you got to make sacrifices at work. It's like,
and you got to keep your relationship exciting. You can't just like, you don't just show up and punch a clock. You're just like, you're constantly engaged. I mean, I speak for this. I mean, I can speak firsthand, just being in a marriage, of just like, it's not like I just show up every day and everything's cool. It's like, I'm in this with this girl, and she has her own dreams, and she's a dynamic person. She's changing all the time, and we got to like work this out together on a daily basis. And we're different people than we were 2 years ago, and we're going to be different people than we are 10 years ago, 10 years from now, and 20, and so on.
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah. So it's just like, God, the requirements of life are difficult. And we're all having this, and we all need each other. Anyway, I don't want to now I'm going to get woo-woo on it all. But because I do recognize the very real problems that face our world today, and the very valid different perspectives that exist. And I don't really know the answers, but I do think about them all the time. But I think at the end of the day, not being quite so smug and sure of yourself on the part of one side, either direction is kind of the only way forward.
Yeah.
Anyway, but see, you can talk about it. That's one thing, but that's all well and good. But where art comes in is if you can put it in a way that's not an argument. That invites somebody to soften themselves a little bit and see it from another person's perspective. That's the power of art. If it's a song, if it's a movie, if it's a book.
Comedians are really good at that.
Yeah, they are.
They can make you laugh and make you think about something. You're like, oh, snap.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Humor is such a beautiful thing. I don't know what life would be without humor. I wouldn't even want to be here if I couldn't like laugh at stuff, at myself, at my mistakes, at silly things other people do and learn from that. It's just,
man, if you can laugh at yourself, you can get through a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's really funny when you can't. Like I've noticed, I mean, there's been terrible things in my life and really serious things also that shouldn't be laughed at. But there's been a lot of things that I've been like, I didn't get the gig, or the guy doesn't like me, or she does. And then you pan back a little bit and you're like, it's actually kind of funny. Like, and the second you can think of the humor in your own ridiculous situation, you're sort of saved.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You're like, you will live to fight again.
Because once you start taking yourself too serious, it's like the best thing you can do is be a good steward of everything you have. You're taking yourself too serious. We don't own anything.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than...
We can't take nothing with us.
No. There's nothing worse than being around somebody that takes himself so seriously that everyone's like afraid of what they say or just self-conscious, or it's just like, God,
eggshells.
You poop too, bro.
I remember, man, I was at this actor's house. I think about this randomly all the time. This guy is like my gold standard of like, don't do this. It was at this actor's house one time. He had just did this movie, and another actor friend took me over there, and he's singing in the movie, and he did great. I didn't know this guy was a singer, so I'm like thoroughly like, whoa, and you can sing, bro. You know what I mean? So I walked up to him like, all happy, like, hey man, you crushed it, dude. You can sing, man. And he was like, yeah, I can sing. Like, what you mean? Like, I mean, and then he had like his little minions, yes men, come around and be like, what the hell? He don't know you can sing, man. And I'm like, these dudes gonna fight me because I didn't know this dude can sing. I'm like, I gotta throw hands. A compliment leads to this,
Hilarious.
And my friend kind of came to me and like looked at me like, don't even. I didn't feel tough. I don't think I'm tough. I just know I ain't a punk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, okay, like, and it's like, I never want to fight if I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm trying to give you a compliment, tell you how awesome you were.
Yeah.
But it was like serious conflict energy. And I just kind of, whatever. Hey man, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to offend you, man. I didn't know you sung. That's my first time seeing your work. I thought it was great. I just wanted to tell you that. So if my compliment offends you, like, I'm sorry, bro. And he's like, nah, man, it's cool. I'm tripping on that, man. And I was like, this dude is like real mad about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like later on, I seen him like somewhere else at another party later. And I said what up to him and he said what up to me. But it was kind of like,
Still,
he ain't like me.
Yeah.
I'm like, how you don't like me? Because I didn't know. That's what I hate about Hollywood, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, look up all your work and be specific about your parts and lines just to tell you did good? Like, get out of here. Now, every time now this dude's, he's still doing songs and they suck. I never want to work with him. You know what I mean? But at that time, I did want to work with him. But like, the attitude was so bad to the point where you like took offense to me. And one of my mentors always said, offense has to be taken. Nobody gives you offense.
Yeah,
you have
true.
to take offense. You took offense to me being ignorant.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough way to live.
Yeah, and you had the audacity to pay him a compliment. I mean, your ignorance was, pretty forgivable, I think, in that context. Anyway.
I think so.
People are crazy, man.
And I don't know why that replays in my mind, maybe because like I felt like scared I was gonna get beat up by like his 4 minions that came around being like, hey man, and I know I meant well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing now where I'm very conscious of like meaning well and having my good intentions taken the wrong way.
Well, but I think to your credit, one thing that you seem to be about is like you're really quickly able to go like, hey man, I'm sorry. I
don't want no smoke about that.
I think some people would have been like, fuck me. Well, fuck you.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
And
Just,
I totally felt that
up.
way.
Yeah.
I totally felt that way. But it's like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And it don't make you feel good, to like be into that energy.
No.
That's the best part about hindsight. You can look back and be like, okay, if I go around trying to square up with everybody that's said something smart to me, or like I live in Nashville, and one of my friend who Lana, who I came here to work with Musology, me and her was out celebrating something one time, and this guy just bartender just didn't like me. Every time I tried to, and she was like, hey, do you know him? I'm like, no. And she was like, oh, I know what's happening. And I was like, what? She was like, you're a confident black man in the South. And some people are just not going to like that. And I was like, I look black. I thought I looked Native American mixed. No, but I was just like, really?
That's crazy, man.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the thing? Like, people don't like to see confident men of different colors? Like, what? But I think and that's the thing, if people are miserable, this guy probably wasn't confident in his singing or comfortable where he was at in his career. And so it was more of his insecurity probably jumping out. So I think it's a point of grace.
Yeah. I mean, it's people, you never know what's going on in somebody's head. And it's really easy. This is like from back in my Buddhist practice days that I took with me. That's been very,
like a lot of Buddhist
very
practice.
helpful. Yeah. It's very practical. It's
very
not even a religion.
practical.
It's just like some helpful practices.
Way of life.
It's a way of life. It's like breathing. Does breathing scare you? It's not scary. You got to do it either way. You might as well do it right. But this idea of you can either be prey to your suggestions, because the universe is constantly suggesting things to you. You can be suggestible, or you can come at the world with your own suggestions.
I like that.
And I think that's like easier said than done in some ways, and also a little bit of a murky life strategy. But I think in the context of people and interactions, it's like somebody behaves in a way that you think is unjust or asinine, like that guy. And so you can go like, he gives you a suggestion like offense, and you can like respond to that, or you can just kind of go not respond to it and just give him grace and give him, and that's like how it's if that's another life strategy, I think that just it kind of always wins.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but
Definitely.
I noticed like in road rage, I like the least road rage person ever.
For
like
real?
People cut me off, I'll never ever, because I'm just like, I don't want to waste 1 second of energy on something like that like just doesn't even communicate to the person who committed they're long gone or whatever. It's just for me to be like, fuck.
And they're not going to get there 5 minutes faster.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's going to be under 2
They got
minutes.
something going on there.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm safe, I maybe if I had a kid on board, baby on board or something like that, I might have to, I don't know.
But even then, it's like,
Get
you don't want to
crazy.
get too much crazy because
Who knows?
you know what
They're packing.
how horrible their life is, all their repressed anger, and that's the thing. People need outlet. Like they need to go to the gym. They need prayer. They need to go make love.
Yeah.
They need to do something to just chill out because of just piling on all that stress from society, letting the world just imprint on you and beat you down without getting your release in whatever form, physically, mentally, whatever, spiritually. It's gonna just have you all over the place acting crazy.
Man, I was just telling Randa this. When we talked on the phone last night, I was kind of like midway through. Like I hurt my shoulder a couple, about 6 weeks ago, and I'm like,
I've been doing Mike Tyson workout.
I don't know I like to work out a lot. Ever since the pandemic, I'd just done it every day, just about.
That's what's up.
And then, but I hurt my shoulder, and I haven't been able to, and I've gotten kind of more grumpy, and I'm seeing some therapy for it. It'll all be fine probably, but yesterday I was just like, I can't even stand it because part of the thing is just you blow some steam off, everything is better afterwards. Everything just kind of falls away. And so I just went for a walk, and I ended up like walking 4 miles, and that's kind of what that would be like my running route when I would do that. And I came back home. Yeah, it was long walk. I listened to a bunch of music. I often don't sometimes I go for a while without listening to music, just like random, just like letting tracks queue up and just going for the ride. But I did that I listened to like 9 songs. I was in like a Jason Mraz song that I'm yours. And I was like, I really love that song. I was like able to, I don't know. I said some joy in music, and it was just like all time kind of went away. I texted you, we talked on the phone for a second about this. And but I was just like walking, like just came back, and I was just so at peace with like everything for a second. I was just like, it's just so amazing that a walk is available to everybody. It costs nothing. Yeah. I just walked out my front door and walked a little ways, and I came back to my house, and I'm just like, oh, I gotta remember to do that. The
best things in life are free. We just forget that.
We do.
Forget that.
And you're in this world of obsessed accomplishment and competition, and a lot of those things are good in a way for you and maybe for society, but everything is in balance. Balance is so important, and I feel like I've just been rambling a lot on this conversation, but I'm
probably doing the same. I'm enjoying it, but I think this is how all our combos go.
Yeah, exactly. This is the hang. This is like y'all are sitting in on a typical Lamont Lenker hang. But on that note, maybe we could end this with a song we could play. We talked about it last night, and we could just reset and maybe just do a song together. If you want to play keys or...
I'm down. What song?
Okay. The Got to Be More song that I sent you that track.
So I didn't get a chance to listen.
Oh, it doesn't even matter.
I can probably figure it out real fast.
You can figure it out real fast. No, we could probably even just like let the mics roll on the rehearsal and just trickle into the song.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Well, we'll see what happens. But this is the part where I just say thanks, man.
Man, thanks for having me.
It has been so fun to talk to you, and I look forward. We've collaborated in the past. I look forward to more of the same.
Yeah.
And I think you're coming over in a couple of days for an informal hang.
Yeah.
For my girl's birthday, so I can't wait for that. And I just really cherish your friendship, and you're inspiring to me as a musician and a human being.
Likewise, man. I first met you as an actor, and I didn't even know you were a musician. And then your whole transition to that, and you won Best Actor the night we met. And so it's like you're definitely an inspiration to me too, bro.
Wow.
For real.
Takes one to know one.
Hey, let's go.
There has got to be more to be more than this. Someday, well, I will be more like who I wanna be. Yeah. But something's in the way, holding back the best of me. I just got to break free. Yeah. There has got to be more. To be more than this. My friends, well, I love them, and I know they love me too. Yes, they do. But it's my life to lead, no one's gonna live for me. It's just something I got to do. I got to do it. There got to be more. Oh, there has got to be more than this. Yeah, there has got to be more. Yeah. Oh. I'm scared, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm waiting for something to save me. Yeah, it's getting celestial in here. And maybe I'm scared, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm waiting for something to save me. Yeah, oh, and maybe I'm scared, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm waiting for something to save me. Maybe I'm scared, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm waiting for something. Maybe I'm scared, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm waiting for something to save me. Maybe I'm scared, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I'm waiting for something to save me. There has got to be more. Got to be more than this. Yeah, there has got to be more. Ooh, there has got to be more. Yeah, there has got to be more than this. There has got to be more. There has got to be more than this.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring the songs of the Morse Code Podcast. Okay, thank you very much.